Hey you beautiful Buccaneers, Falcore here. So for the longest time now, although the game has been updating in terms of filler content, things that had spanned the retention of the sandbox, guilds, captaincy, Legend of the Veil, shrines, fortresses, etc., there hasn't been a point at the screen type update for what seems like an age. This is one of the main problems Sea of Thieves is facing right now. Although for newer players they have a world now where there is something to do at every turn, for those playing any more than 6 months, they're all sat on their hands just waiting for that one epic thing to hit the horizon. So purely generated on feedback and the most common things I see get requested, here's what the community thinks Sea of Thieves needs. Number 1, World Expansion, the most requested edition. I don't think I see one single day without someone requesting some form of world expansion, especially the biggest request that has devolved into a meme at this point, the Ice Zone. It is very true that the world expansion would be a huge hype for the game. It would essentially be the clickbait that the game needs. That said though, with only 5 to 6 ships per server, having a world expansion would alienate the game even more, as people would be far more spaced out across the map after the initial hype for the zone starts to run flat. A way around this, of course, would be to add an area like the Sea of the Damned, a high seas pocket world that can be accessed through a portal where other players reside just like the original map, with harder encounters and expanded loot. Failing that, a complete change to the world we already play in, very similar to the World of Warcraft expansion Cataclysm, where the world was changed but the core gameplay experience stayed the same. However it's done, a world expansion is one of the most requested additions for this game. Number 2, Sea Monster. Now this one, even though it's a hugely requested addition, I really don't see it bringing much to the game. That said though, the hype a good old sea monster brings would be astronomical. I think one of the biggest reasons people were excited for Sea of Thieves was because of the original gameplay trailer where the Kraken was first seen, followed by the absolute hype tsunami that Hungering Deep brought to the game. People just love a good sea monster that lurks below the waves. So although this wouldn't really add much to the core gameplay loop, other than another annoying encounter that pops up when you really don't want it to, it would do great things for the game's health, and also generate a huge amount of hype prior to its release. Number 3, a new ship type. Now this one, I've always been confused as to why it was never expanded. A new ship type would totally change the dynamic of the sandbox. The entire world would never be the same again if a new ship class was to be added. And this wouldn't necessarily have to be a larger ship like a man of war, or even a smaller ship like a true solo vessel. It could basically be a 2, 3, or 4 person player ship like we already have, but with different dynamics. Less firepower and more speed, or less speed and more firepower. I'm using Blazing Sails here as an example for different ship types, because it's a game made by a family that has more ship types than Sea of Thieves. And when they release a new ship type, the hype it generates puts the game into the top 20 on Twitch. So for Sea of Thieves to start dropping hints at a new vessel coming to the game, you can just imagine the hype that it would generate. Case in point, when they first announced the rowboat coming to the game, that generated more hype than the Pirate's Life announcement. And it's a daft rowboat. Number 4, PvE servers. Well, that's December 7th, so yep, got that one covered. Number 5, a new world event. There is one update that this game has had that in my opinion was the best update this game has ever had. Not because it was revolutionary or made people sit up in awe, but because to this day, it's still one of the most used features and at times can be the most exciting feature this game has ever had. The Fort of the Damned. People love contested world events like this, and although you can call the Skull of Sirensong a world event, it really isn't. It's more of a quest. I think I can speak for everyone when I say our initial hype for the Pirate's Life trailers came with a huge letdown when you realize that that massive awesome looking cloud in the sky that we thought was going to be a new world event turned out to be the ending to some story-driven content. This is something I see a lot of talk about even today. Pirate's Life Tall Tale 5 would be an amazing world event if it was given a few changes. Change the cloud to something different, as it wouldn't really make sense to keep killing Davy Jones, perhaps the Siren Queen's head, or just something simple like another colored tornado. When players get close, the battle begins as it normally does. Ghost ships wouldn't really make sense given the lore, so replace the ghost vessels with a handful of megalodons, and once reaching the final tier, players have to run to the top, fight off a couple of waves of ocean crawlers, and receive a stack of coral loot and a new Coral Athena chest. Boom! Call it the Spire of Sunken Sorrow, and there you go. New world event, new hype, and new tutorial videos. These are the most requested features for this game, as talked about by yourselves across social media, YouTube videos, and Twitch chat. I realize, of course, there are far more requested features than what I just talked about, but these are the most requested, and I haven't got time to make a 72-hour video. What would you like to have added to the sandbox of Sea of Thieves? Leave your comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe, as this will help me produce more content for you guys in the future. And it doesn't cost you anything. And also a huge thanks to my Patreon members for encouraging me to continue making content. Until next time, take care and happy sailing.